friends, welcome back to my channel and happy 1989 release day. And if you can't tell, I'm wearing my Taylor Swift concert sweater that I got at the Eras tour. Super exciting. And today we are doing book recommendations on the Taylor's version of the original soundtrack. So this is not including the bonus tracks, namely because I am currently in the present time of where you guys are now. I'm in brain surgery recovery, so in the present time of where I am now, back in the past, is I am bulk recording so that there is a catalog of videos. So obviously I have not heard the bonus tracks yet, so we're going to do the tracks I do know, and then we'll come back and do a part 2 once I'm able of the bonus tracks, kind of similar to how we did the Speak Now recommendations. As we all know, 1989 kicks it off with Welcome to New York. And I thought that the perfect book for this would be In a New York Minute. This is following a girl who is just having the worst day of her life, and just to top that humiliation, she gets on the subway and she ends up ripping her dress, and this just like taking the humiliation from her already bad day to the max. And one guy who is on the subway sees this, and he extends a helpful hand and gives her his jacket. They thought that was going to be the end of their interaction. Turns out someone was watching the whole interaction, not just watching, but they were recording it, and hashtag subway QTs went viral. So these two are kind of forced into this not real relationship, and they are very aware that they are not fit to be together. But after he ends up hiring her instead of dating her, he ends up hiring her as his interior designer, and after so many long nights spent together and so many days spent together working on this office renovation, they find out maybe fate knew what it was doing after all. So it's super cute. I think it has a really good balance of drama and relatable things happening, as well as the romance. So I really enjoyed this one, and of course it's set in New York, so it's Welcome to New York. Next is A Blank Space. I chose this book purely because of the line in Blank Space that is, "Baby, I'm a nightmare dressed like a daydream." And I'm going with The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller for this. This is a fantasy romance. It's a standalone. It does have a companion novel, but this is specifically a standalone. I think it is such a good gateway fantasy as well. If you're not super into fantasy, this is a super digestible fantasy. Honestly, all of Trisha Levenseller's works are. I love recommending Trisha Levenseller's books for people who are looking to get into fantasy. So this may just be for you, and listen to this synopsis because I think that it does it so much better than I ever could. Alessandra is tired of being overlooked, but she has a plan to gain power. 1. Woo the Shadow King. 2. Marry him. 3. Kill him and take his kingdom for herself. And if that is not the most I've got a blank space baby and I'll write your name vibe, then I don't know what is. So that is The Shadows Between Us. Next up is Style, that James Dean daydream look in your eye. I picked this one purely because of people's reactions to the adaptation TV show, not necessarily the book itself. But The Summer I Turned Pretty is totally giving the James Dean daydream look in your eye and the red lip classic thing that you like. I just think that the relationships between Belly and the brothers is just exactly that song. So I think that Style is The Summer I Turned Pretty. So yes. Next is a kind of play on words. This is Out of the Woods, and I'm going with The Merciful Crow. This is a fantasy duology, the first book, and this is following a society in which there are castes, and we are following a young girl who is the daughter of the chief of the lowest caste, and she teams up with the prince and his bodyguard to kind of overthrow the monarchy. And during their journey, they are just constantly being like thrown all of these things, and it's like, are we out of the woods? Are we out of the woods? Are we in the clear yet? And I think that this is totally that vibe of just this like constant barrage of just bad things happening to these people, and like, are we in the clear yet? Totally this book. Next one is All You Had to Do Was Stay, and just to preface, I believe 1989 totally leans into second chance romance. Like, so many of the songs give me second chance romance vibes. This is the first one that I'm going to specifically recommend a second chance romance. I think I have 2 or 3 here, and the first one is The Do-Over by Suzanne Park, I believe it is. I read this one a couple months ago. It's following a young girl who has believed this whole time that she graduated. She's never had an issue until one day when she is seeking a new job and is going through the application process. The HR person calls her and they're like, "You never graduated." And she calls the college, and it turns out that she missed a class or failed a class or something like that, didn't allow her to graduate, and she just never knew this whole time. So she's doing over a couple, it's like a class or 2, and it turns out that her previous boyfriend is her TA or something, teacher or professor or something along those lines. But it's definitely interesting in the fact that it's got that second chance romance, and I think their relationship definitely leans towards All You Had to Do Was Stay, and it kind of goes back and forth in timelines to like show you present day and then like what happened to lead up to that. Next is Shake It Off. I actually kind of struggled with this one because Shake It Off to me is just like all vibes, no substance, which sounds so bad because it's totally like you just need to shake off the bad things. But in my head, that's all I could think. So I'm going with Sweet Valley High because this one is just all the fun vibes. Like, rereading this just gives me all the nostalgia and looking back at high school and all the silly drama. And this is just all vibes, no substance. Quite honestly, like, it's so funny. I love this series. I've been recollecting the series and I can't wait to reread it. Next is I Wish You Would, and this is our second chance romance recommendation, and that is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Similar to The Do-Over, we are following dual timelines in which we are learning not only about the present day couple but also about the younger couple and like what led to the initial conflict. So I think that's a pretty typical thing of second chance romance now that I think about it, because the final one that I have to recommend you is the same dual timeline. Regardless, this is following like best friends. They grew up together every summer, they saw each other every summer, and there was some sort of conflict that led them to never talking again until one day the girl is, I think someone passed away or something, so the cabin that the two families shared and stayed in over summer, they're looking to sell. The sons of the one family and the daughter of the other are coming back together to like determine what to do with the cabin. Super cute. Super cute. It totally leans into that whole I wish you would call back, I wish you would pick up the phone. I forget the exact lyrics, but it's like, I feel like there was a very similar conflict here. I'm so sorry for the people who always watch my book recommendations videos, but I literally don't know if I've ever done a book recommendation video without recommending a Nikki Paul Proto. And we're gonna go with Crown of Feathers for Bad Blood, because Bad Blood just perfectly describes Veronica and her sister in this series. Total conflict between the two sisters, and it's such good conflict. So I definitely recommend Crown of Feathers. If you don't know, I'm sure most of you do by now because I talk about it all the freaking time on my channel. But if this is your first video of mine, Crown of Feathers is following Veronica, who all she wants to do is be a Phoenix Rider, but the Phoenix Rider clan is only accepting males, so she has to disguise herself as a male in order to join. It is multiple perspective, but Veronica is our main perspective character, so that is why I always recommend based on her plotline. Next is Wildest Dreams. And I mean, Say You'll Remember Me, Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I don't know if that's taking it a little too literally, but Addie LaRue is literally about a girl who made a deal with the devil and or this creature that has these fate abilities, and in order to live forever she gives up the ability for people to remember her. So as soon as she walks away from people, they forget that she exists. So Say You'll Remember Me, even in your wildest dreams, Addie LaRue. Alternatively, I believe that Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor could also fit in that category or that wildest dreams vibe. It is following an angel and a devil, and they fell in love. The next song is How You Get the Girl. Admittedly, I have not finished this book yet, but the Spanish love deception totally fits the How You Get the Girl vibe. I don't know if there's anything that Aaron Blackford would not do to get Catalina. So I'm loving this book. I'm hoping to finish it tonight before I leave, but this is an incredible book. I was literally reading a scene last night and just like squealing at it. So this is definitely an up there romance for me. I just adore it. The next song is This Love, also very second chance romance vibes. I'm going to recommend People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Another dual timeline, another second chance romance. These two were university best friends and something caused a conflict. So we are following a present day in which our main girl is a travel blogger. She has been tasked with going on this trip, and she invites Alex on the trip with her to try to rekindle their friendship, and it rekindles a little bit more. Next is I Know Places, and admittedly I have not read this book at all. But I don't know why this song just immediately made me think of this. And I don't know if it's because like I associate foxes a lot with this book. I think there's a fox association with this book, but it is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is a companion series to Caraval, specifically following Jax. And I'm very excited about it. And also he looks like a hunter on here, so it's fitting to me. Next is Clean, and I don't want to go too far into this. I feel like a lot of people have read ACOTAR, but I don't want to give away spoilers. But if you know, you know on ACOTAR on who I'm talking about. But there is definitely a moment in which one of our characters becomes clean from another, and it's so good. Honestly, it should be A Court of Mist and Fury I'm referring to. So good. Next is Wonderland, and I'm gonna go with a kind of different vibe on this one. This is The School for Good and Evil. I definitely think these two got lost in Wonderland, and even though it's like not actually Wonderland, it does have those fairy tale vibes without being literally Alice in Wonderland. I thought about it, but I didn't want to go that literal. But this does have those fairy tale vibes with still that like mysterious element. And this is following two girls, one who is deemed evil and ends up at the school for good, and one who is deemed good and ends up at the school for evil. They believe they've been put in the wrong schools, so they're on the mission to like get to their their deemed schools per se. And it's just so much fun. It's a lot about like don't judge a book by its cover, and that kind of like beauty runs deep and like inside internally. So I had a lot of fun with this one. It's just a middle grade fantasy series, and there is a movie about it now, which I had so much fun watching. It's got Sophia Wiley in it, the girl that plays Gina in High School Musical, the musical, the series. So I had a lot of fun reading this one. Next is You Are in Love, and this one to me just gives like friends to lovers, timeless, like these people are gonna grow old together, just that like cozy, lovey, warm feeling. I think it definitely leads friends to lovers, because it feels like when two people are just so close and then it just like clicks and one realizes, oh, I do love you. Like unrequited love, unrequited love, I don't know how to pronounce it. But I'm going with Romancing Mr. Bridgerton for this. This is Colin and Penelope's story, and I think it totally fits that like timeless, something funny, like click to love vibe. And this is probably my favorite of the Bridgerton series thus far. I've only read 5 of the 8, so I still have When He Was Wicked, On the Way to the Wedding, and it's in His Kiss left. But Romancing Mr. Bridgerton was so good and totally fits that vibe. And our final book is New Romantics. My favorite, actually Clean and New Romantics are fairly tied for my favorites on 1989. I really love both of those. And I literally could not think of another book. Like, I'm sure I could have come up with one, but like listening to New Romantics, this book was just the one that kept hitting and hitting. And I hate to do it because it's so over recommended, and I've already done one of her books, but Throne of Glass, it screams New Romantics to me. I don't know why, but Throne of Glass is definitely that song. So that is my Taylor Swift 1989 book recommendations. Let me know what you guys would recommend for these songs down below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll check you in my next video. Bye, friends.